G'day, it's fugitive Australian journalist Shane Dowling from the website and YouTube channel Kangaroo Court of Australia. Now, this video is absolute dynamite. Former ABC chair Ita Buttrose has blackmailed the ABC, their lawyers, to hand over evidence to Antoinette Lattouf in Lattouf's unlawful termination case against ABC. You can't go blackmailing a law firm to hand over evidence during the course of a proceedings because it's still afoot. The case hasn't been finalised yet. They've got final submissions this Thursday and Friday, the 27th and 28th of February. Now, Ita Buttrose has done that in a letter she's sent to the ABC's lawyers, and then she's leaked it to the media. And how do we know she's leaked it to the media? Well, you've got to put the bits and pieces together like a jigsaw puzzle, the different reporting. I've got 3 articles I'm going to read out bits and pieces from. The News Corp seemed to be the one who broke the story on Monday, the 24th of February. And he was followed up by The Guardian, who ran a story, and also the Sydney Morning Herald. Now, News Corp seemed to withhold a bit of information in relation to the threats, but The Guardian published the threats, and so did the Sydney Morning Herald to a degree. Now, Ita Buttrose's motivation seems to be that she thinks her reputation's been tarnished. She's trying to correct it. But I've been following this court case closely, and I published a video on the Tuesday, the 11th of February, titled ABC's Ita Buttrose Commits Perjury, the Smoking Gun Evidence, which focuses on a key piece of evidence of Ita Buttrose's perjured evidence. And it's well worth watching, and I'll put a link to that video below this video on YouTube, so you can watch that as well. That gives you a lot of background information, the initial information. But by the end of this video, I think there's a prima facie case to charge Ita Buttrose with blackmail and certainly attempting to pervert the course of justice or interfering in the administration of justice. I don't think the judge is going to be real happy come Thursday because this is all being played out in the media, not in the court where it should be played out. If Ita Buttrose felt she had legitimate issues, she could have hired a lawyer and filed a notice of motion or something like that. But anyhow, I'll read you out the reporting that tells the story and you can make up your own mind. Now, News.com published an article on Monday, the 24th of February titled Ita Buttrose calls in ABC lawyers in Antoinette Lattouf case. And it starts off, former ABC chair Ita Buttrose has contacted lawyers for the national broadcaster, which is ABC, claiming her part in radio presenter Antoinette Lattouf's dismissal has been recounted inaccurately in court proceedings. News.com.au has learned an emergency teleconference meeting was convened between Ms Buttrose and lawyers from Seaforth Shaw Australia, who are representing the ABC last Tuesday, the 18th of February 2025. At the meeting, Ms Buttrose, who did not retain lawyers for a court appearance and was not subpoenaed, laid out her concerns about some of the evidence presented in the case brought by Ms Lattouf after the radio presenter was sacked 3 days into her 5-day contract in 2023 for sharing Human Rights Watch posts about the war in Gaza on social media. The new concerns relate to conversations Ms Buttrose allegedly had with ABC executives concerning Ms Lattouf's dismissal on the 20th of December 2023. In a letter to the ABC's lawyers dated Thursday the 20th of February, which legal sources have revealed to news.com.au, Ms Buttrose refers to an emergency teleconference meeting she had with ABC's lawyers on Tuesday the 18th of February. Ms Buttrose signs off on a letter to the legal firm Seaforth Shaw requesting the receipt be forwarded to Ms Lattouf's legal team. Now, this next part is key because it confirms that it was actually Ita Buttrose who leaked it, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Because it says on Friday, a spokesperson for Ms Lattouf's lawyer, Josh Bornstein, said no correspondence had been received from the ABC's lawyers. The article also says comment on Friday was sought from Ms Buttrose and the ABC in relation to her allegations. So the News Corp article doesn't actually get into the threats Ita Buttrose made, but it says they sought comment last Friday. That means last Friday they had the letter. And that's very important because that tells you who leaked it. And we'll find out from the Guardian article why. Now, the Guardian published an article also on Monday, the 24th of February 2025, titled Ita Buttrose claims inconsistencies in ABC boss David Anderson's affidavit in the Antoinette Lattouf case. And it starts off, Buttrose, a former ABC chair, sends an explosive letter to broadcasters' lawyers suggesting she hand over evidence disputing Anderson's version of events to Lattouf's legal team. The former ABC chair, Ita Buttrose, has pointed to alleged inconsistencies in David Anderson's affidavit for a federal court case, citing differing details of where and when the outgoing managing director told Buttrose that Antoinette Lattouf had been sacked. In an explosive letter to ABC lawyers seen by The Guardian Australia, Buttrose last week urged the ABC to tell Lattouf's lawyers about the alleged inconsistencies in Anderson's version of events as set out in his affidavit. The affidavit was filed in court in Lattouf's unlawful termination case against ABC, which returns for closing arguments on Thursday. Guardian Australia does not suggest that Anderson's testimony in the federal court case was anything but his honest recollection of events that took place in late 2023. Buttrose in her letter demanded the ABC contact Lattouf's lawyers as a matter of absolute urgency, and if they failed to do so, she would take the appropriate action. The evidence Buttrose refers to is an invoice from a hire car company which transported her and the managing director to a Christmas lunch on Wednesday the 20th of December 2023, which she claims suggests that Anderson's affidavit was contradictory. And the article quotes the letter. In the interest of transparency and our legal obligations to do so, the invoice from Corporate Cars Australia must be provided to Ms. Lattouf, Buttrose writes in Thursday's letter, adding a deadline of 2 p.m. on Friday. The ABC does not appear to have taken any action in response to Buttrose's letter. A publicly available court file does not show any documents having been filed by the ABC since it received Buttrose's letter. So we know from the news.com article that they had the letter on Friday because they approached different people, Lattouf's barrister, for example, for comment on Friday. So they had the letter on Friday, but we have to go to the Guardian article to see that Ita Buttrose gave them, the ABC, a deadline by 2 p.m. on Friday to hand over her so-called new evidence. So those two pieces of evidence align, but you have to read both articles. Come 2 p.m. on Friday, as per the Guardian article, the ABC hadn't done anything. So Ita Buttrose leaked the letter to news.com.au. Now, I read you a little bit of the SMH reporting on the same issue, but they give you a little bit more information, which is worth noting as well. Now, the Sydney Morning Herald published an article on Monday, the 24th of February 2025, titled Buttrose Lobs Bombshell, David Anderson claims to ABC lawyers. The ABC's former chair, Ita Buttrose, has written to ABC lawyers to dispute key evidence provided by Managing Director David Anderson to a federal court in the ongoing unlawful termination case brought against the public broadcaster by Antoinette Lattouf. In the latest shock development in the high-profile case, Buttrose has disputed Anderson's version of two key compensations that he provided during this month's court proceedings in a legal letter sent to Seafarth Shaw, the firm acting for the ABC, in its defence against Lattouf. The article goes on to say, Buttrose declined to comment on the letter when approached by this masthead, which is the Sydney Morning Herald, and an ABC spokesperson said the matter was before the court and it would be inappropriate for the ABC to comment while proceedings are underway. Buttrose told ABC lawyers in the letter that it was important that the evidence she had provided be given to Lattouf's legal team. In quotes, Buttrose is saying, accordingly, please confirm with me by way of written correspondence when appropriate actions have been taken with regard to Mr. Anderson's affidavit. Similarly, please inform me, as a matter of absolute urgency, if the ABC decides to withhold this evidence from Ms. Lattouf's legal team so that I can take the appropriate action. Now, where the Sydney Morning Herald adds value is that they reported that Ita Buttrose wanted to be informed by the ABC if they had or hadn't taken any action. So when that 2 o'clock deadline came around on Friday, which we know from the Guardian article, that Ita Buttrose obviously leaked it because we know the news.com.au had the letter on Friday because they were approaching people for comment. Now, Ita Buttrose's threat to the ABC to hand over the further evidence to Antoinette Lattouf is very much like the evidence that came out during the hearing when the Lawyers for Israel WhatsApp group threatened Ita Buttrose if they didn't sack Antoinette Lattouf, they'd approach a senior counsel barrister. Now, for Ita Buttrose to have leaked that letter to the media needs to be investigated. Now, she's apparently done it because she's worried about her reputation going down the toilet. Well, it's already gone down the toilet. We've seen the evidence. We've seen the emails. We've seen the email where Ita Buttrose says we owe her nothing in relation to Antoinette Lattouf. Well, that's a chairperson of a major government corporation saying an employee, we owe her nothing. Well, every organisation owes employees certain rights. So for Ita Buttrose to be threatening lawyers while a court case is currently afoot to hand over certain evidence to the other party, that's interference in the administration of justice. She could and should be charged. The judge on Thursday is meant to sit down for Thursday and Friday. It might only go one day. There's final submissions, but it'll possibly go both days. But the judge on Thursday morning he should issue an arrest warrant for Ita Buttrose to show up to court and explain herself. As far as Antoinette Lattouf supporters are concerned, well, you should be cheering, because this is a major balls up. Could it not get any worse? I've never heard or seen anything like this before, where a witness in a court case decides to hijack it for their own agenda and start determining who can and can't have certain evidence. And the bottom line is, Ita Buttrose has perjured herself like no tomorrow. The evidence she was giving was total crap. And I made out that case in the previous video, and she hasn't complained about it. And please do your bit and help shine a light on corruption by sharing this video on social media. And please hit the like and subscribe button and notification button. That way you get notified when I publish a new video. In Kangaroo Court of Australia's independent media, I publish a website and a YouTube channel, and I'm 100% crowdfunded from viewers like yourself. So please make a donation. You can either donate via PayPal or Patreon. Go to my website. There's a donations page with other donation options. And you can donate any amount, $3, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30, $40, $50 a month, whatever suits your budget. All helps in a big way. Or you can do one-off donations. Other than that, thank you for your time and have a good day.